the Come On In Sports Network.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Come On In Sports Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. We call it Table for 32. Thanks for joining us again this week. We got a lot in store for you going over each team. We'll talk about each team. So if you have a favorite team or just like to hear about ever rankings, who doesn't like a list, hang out with us and leave comments. If you have any comments, we'll definitely throw it up and talk about it in the chat during the show. So thanks for stopping in here at Come On In Sports Network. I am Lawrence Foster, as I am with you weekly to go over our weekly NFL Power Rankings. We do it a little bit different here. We kind of treat it like call it Table for 32, kind of, because we kind of treat it like when you have a family get together, like a wedding or something. You have like the adult tables and then you have the kid tables. Well, we have the NFL kind of divided up like that as well. We have kiddie tables, like where you see just a little bit of information about each team. And then as we get into the upper echelon of the NFL, we have the adult tables, and you'll see more graphics, more information from last week and the week upcoming for the team. So the adult table gets a little better treatment, so to speak. But it's always fun to just see where everything's ranked. I love to get feedback from everybody about if you agree where we have them. The way we do it here is I accumulate all of the power rankings from our post here at Come On In Sports, and we kind of put them together and like kind of average the scores out. So if someone puts an 8 for, like, let's say the Ravens, another team puts 6, well, their average would be 7. We try to finish there at the number 7 spot in our power rankings. We work from the bottom up at here on our weekly show. So without further ado, here are our bottom 4 teams in the NFL as we see it heading into week 5 of the NFL season. As they have been for much of the seasons thus far, the Tennessee Titans are holding strong. I guess I don't know if it's holding strong, but whatever the opposite of that is, at the bottom of our power rankings. They're 0-4. Cam Ward kind of called his team donkey. I don't like saying those words on air, the other words on air, but you can read it if you want. So when that's happening, it's not good. To me, it seems like the Titans, Callahan is going to be on his, seems like he's been one of the first coaches fired this season. The Titans just have been shut. I mean, in 4 weeks, they've been shut out twice. They cannot protect Cam Ward. Like, nothing is going right for them. So I'm sure, like, the season started with excitement. Oh, man, we get to see Cam Ward, see what's going on. Is quickly fizzling and fading away for Tennessee Titans fans. And I'm sure they don't want to hear, but they're going to be back on that coaching carousel again. And really, you got to keep doing it until you find the right coach. Right? They think they have their quarterback. Now they need to find a coach to pair with him and see if they can find that magic touch. But the Titans have done it all year, holding strong at the bottom, 0-4, and just don't see things changing there here for them coming up. 31st in our power rankings, Come On In Sports Table for 32. We have the Cincinnati Bengals. You see, they're the only team on this page with any wins, but as we know about the Bengals, that record is a little bit deceiving considering what's happened since they won those 2 games. The most important thing, obviously, being that Joe Burrow has once again found himself with a pretty significant injury. He's going to be out probably until December at the very best. And if things keep going the way they are, probably don't see Burrow at the end of the year if they have no chance of doing anything. Why risk anything heading into the offseason and next year? Bengals fans start off 2-0. Like, Burrow got hurt in that second game. They were able to still pull it out, get a 2-0. And then Browning, to me, it's really surprising. A few years ago when Burrow got hurt, Browning went 4-3. The offense was still pretty good. So, like, I didn't think they'd be at the level Burrow brings them, obviously. But based on just a few years ago of actual sample size, I'm like, oh, I can see the Bengals holding strong. And then when Burrow is ready, he can be that final push to the playoffs. But through 2 weeks of Browning being their starter, my goodness, it's nothing like it was a few years ago. Even with the same weapons, it's the offensive line that's not doing anything. That they have no running game, but that's also part of the offensive line. They've invested so much into receivers and the quarterback, into Hendrickson. They spent the draft picks on try to help the defense, but it's the offensive line. Even in the preseason, you saw Joe Burrow running for his life, and the same thing's going to happen here. And for 2 weeks in a row, they put up 3 and 10 points. And a quarterback, you figure with Higgins, with Chase, they have Mike Gesicki, they have Noah Fant. You figure them you figured they'd at least do something on accident, but it's not going that way. So the Bengals, well-earned 31st spot here, and it's quickly going. The arrow's pointing pretty much straight down for the Bengals at this point. Coming in at 30, we had the New York Jets 0-4. It's really weird. Like everyone coming into the season, like, all right, what's Fields going to do? But a lot of people, like pundits and people who just like talk about football, are like, all right, the defense should be able to kind of hold strong, but it has not been that this year. The Jets have just been run roughshod. You saw it after the game, Sauce saying like, oh man, it's because the Jets are losing why he's getting flagged. No, Sauce, is because you're doing the holding and that you're committing the penalties. It has nothing to do about whether you're winning or losing. And for a few years now, Sauce has been kind of flag happy. He's getting flagged quite a bit and probably could get flagged a little bit more. He's very handsy, and he probably just thinks he's getting flagged. He's seeing there's a coalition of, hey, we're losing. Oh, I'm getting flagged. That's not really how it does. But the Jets 0-4. Fields is, again, like the week one is the mirage, right? Justin Fields, yes, he had that fantastic fourth down touchdown run against the Dolphins, but he just is not it as a passer. And you can't do anything as an offense if your quarterback simply can't pass the ball. And they have, Wilson is being wasted in that offense. They have Breece Hall. They have Taylor, the tight end, who's showing good things. The offense looks so much better when he was out, Field was out, and they played the Bucs. Like, the offense looked a lot better with Tyrod Taylor running, a professional quarterback. He won't be as dynamic as Justin Fields. Obviously, few people are with their legs, but Tyrod has enough legs and a little juice to make something, but he's leaps and bounds better as a passer at this point in his career. So the Jets 0-4, they're staring at the bottom division, just lost their 0-4 matchup last week against the Dolphins. 3 turnovers for them when they hadn't had Dolphins hadn't forced a single one all year, so when it rains, it pours. Closing on our bottom 4 at the kiddie table, we have the New Orleans Saints 0-4. They're at the top of the 0-4 on this page because 3 out of the 4 games the Saints have played this year, they've had legitimate chances to take leads or beat the teams that beat them. Obviously, the game freshest on the mind is against the Bills. My Bills, I'm a Bills fan. I was not expecting the game to be nearly as close as it was. In reality, if the Saints don't run a silly trick play inside the 10, they should have ran the ball, but they resulted in the turnover. They didn't get points out of that drive. Bills able to pull away late, kind of like I predicted what would happen last week. But they're playing teams tough. They played the Niners tough. They played the Cardinals tough. They played the Bills tough. Aside from that, just shellacking they took in week 3 at Seattle, the Saints have been right there in every single game. And like it says, if you're reading it on the screen or you want to hear me say it, if all teams can do is keep putting themselves in a position to have a chance at the end. That's all you can ask for. The NFL is generally a one-score, one-possession league. So even winless teams, all they can ask for is, hey, we got a chance. And that's what they've done 3 out of the 4 games. Spencer Rattler showed some wheels. Alvin Kamara showed some signs of life. So the Saints still at the bottom of the league, but still not as bad as the Titans or Jets. Moving on to our next section of our kids table in our power rankings here at Come On In Sports. We have the Carolina Panthers at 1-3. And talk about a roller coaster. The first 2 weeks, they started maybe showing it at the end of week 2. Week 3, they pitched a shutout against the Falcons, 30-0. And everyone's like, all right, the Panthers are here it is. And then they just absolutely lay an egg against the Patriots. They blew out a 40-burger a week after a shutout. You heard the players after saying, you can't do that. You can't expect a shutout every week, but you can't go from one end of the spectrum of 40 to the other end of 0. Where's the consistency? So that's got to be very disappointing. Bryce Young just continues to tease a little bit, but not show like the consistency out of a third-year quarterback. He's losing that ability to say, "Oh man, I'm still learning." Now in year 3, we kind of got to be beyond learning. We got to see you week in and week out. Maybe once every 2 months, you got a clunker of a game. Okay, you're not like a top level quarterback, but he can't be doing what he's been doing this year. And the Panthers fans are going to quickly lose hope, and just like I can easily envision like another, oh man, here we go, another regime change, and just like that hamster wheel of the Panthers just keeps turning. It's just an endless thing. So we'll see what the Panthers do. I mean, it's a roller coaster shutout. Then they allow 40. Which one is it? Panthers fan, I'm like, I'd be happy in the middle. 27, the Cleveland Browns 1-3. They finally made the decision to bench Flacco. 1-3, and I mean their defense is doing all they can do, and now they get the Browns fans get a chance to see one of their young quarterbacks. Dylan Gabriel will be the one getting the nod. Obviously, they'll have Shedeur Sanders there as well, but Flacco just like it wasn't happening, and it's a smart move. Why keep wasting precious plays, precious games, precious experience on a quarterback who you know exactly what and who he is? Flacco isn't evolving. Like, he is what he is. The Browns were trying to recapture that magic they had a few years ago where he won the comeback player of the year, brought him to the playoffs, then they laid it egg, and then they let him walk. He went to the Colts, couldn't have it, and then they're like, all right, let's bring him back. He didn't have it again. And nothing against him. I mean, Flacco's a good backup. I'd love to have him in my quarterback room. He's going to be in his best value moving forward is going to be, if he's willing and does it, is helping Gabriel, helping Shedeur through things as they go along here. I imagine unless Gabriel lights it up, you're probably going to see Shedeur sometime soon. But at least the Browns, a quarter of the way through the season, like, okay, they're seeing the writing on the wall. We're not going anywhere. So let's just get the young guys in and start seeing what we got. Because they can't go in the next offseason not knowing what they have with their 2 young ones. Moving on to number 26 in our come on in at table for 32 power rankings, we had the Miami Dolphins 1-3 picking up their first win against the Jets last week on Monday Night Football, the first game of that doubleheader. Their uniforms, I thought they were pretty sweet. I'm a Bills fan, but I can admit that I like uniforms. I really hate, I love the Patriots throwbacks with Pat the Patriot, and I really like these Dolphins ones. I thought they were pretty sharp. But they got the win. They forced the first 3 turnovers of the year. But my goodness, obviously there's no way for me to show it, but if you watched that game or you heard anything about it, I'm sure one of the first things you heard about was Tyreek Hill's just brutal, horrific injury. Dislocated knee, the ligament, the ACL, very bad. Like when I saw it live, I'm like, oh my goodness. I thought at first it was like the Dak type injury because I saw the ankle, then I saw the replay after. I'm like, oh, that's just way more than the ankle. So, I mean, nobody wants to see it like that. He was starting to find his groove with Tua. The schedule coming up for the Dolphins is something like, all right, maybe they make a run, but now, like, what do they do without Tyreek? Now, on the other side, like wondering what happens, like Darren Waller, who had him in fantasy, 2 touchdowns, kind of his first game in almost 2 years. And man, like he was the red zone threat that Tua was saying, like, we don't got a body like this. Well, he was a red zone threat in his first game active this year. So maybe that's a piece of that Miami offense that, like, hey, without Tyreek, maybe we kind of go a little bit more traditional. We have our tight end work in the middle of the field. I mean, that Jonnu Smith had a great year last year for him. So we know they know how to use tight ends. So we'll see what happens with the Dolphins moving forward. They got their first win again. It was against the winless Jets, but hey, a win's a win. 1-3. Their schedule is not terribly difficult moving forward. So Miami, they still have enough talent to make a run. But as of right now, they sit at 26, and they got to see what they do without Tyreek moving forward. 25, we have the Houston Texans 1-3, who also picked up their first win. Does it count as a win, though? I mean, a win's a win, right? They'll take it after starting 0-3, but Titans aren't that great. We obviously at the bottom of our rankings, but it's still like the Texans just traded away another offensive lineman when their offensive line is terrible. I don't get it. Like if what you're doing isn't working offensive line, plug your backups in. See if it can be any better. Maybe you found a hidden gem. But in this week's matchup, they play Baltimore, 2 1-3 teams. Like one of them is going to be 1-4. And Baltimore, I mean, Houston's getting Baltimore at the right time. Lamar didn't practice today. They had big injuries last week. Marlon Humphrey, Roquan Smith. They already had the injuries coming into the last week's game against Kansas City. So this is a game, like if Lamar doesn't play, the other injuries, this is kind of like a must win for the Texans. Like you can't go into Baltimore with all those injuries and just lose like that without it like just completely derailing, you would think. And just CJ Stroud just got to find what he had his rookie year. And D'Amico Ryans really hopes he finds it too. Moving on, we got at 24 with the Las Vegas Raiders. Ashton Genty finally showed why he was the pick he was. He kind of did his Halloween Michael Myers stance, right? And then voila, he had his best game as a pro. Unfortunately, it did result in another loss to the Bears. But really, it was for Raiders fans, they finally saw the breakout. They already have Bowers. Myers been playing great. Jacoby Myers. I got to make sure I pronunciate that with Michael Meyer there. But it's Geno Smith right now. Like the defense for the Raiders is playing well. Mad Max doing what he does. He had that crazy pick this past weekend on Caleb Williams. But Geno is like he's just turning the ball over at a rate that is not sustainable. And again, I think kind of like the Browns, like they brought Geno in to kind of be their guy for Pete Carroll, who he had in Seattle. But I can't imagine Pete's going to want to keep rolling him out there if he just keeps turning the ball over like he has been. So Geno's got to clean it up or he's going to find himself on the pine. But the Raiders, 1-3, that week 1 victory over the Patriots seems probably like an eon ago for them. But hey, silver linings. Genty had his best game. You saw Brock Bowers, the defense playing pretty well. So if they can just get Geno to cut the turnovers over, they're going to be right there in a lot of games. Closing out this page of our power rankings, we got 23, the New York Giants, who sit at 1-3, coming off their first win, a big win when they were hosting the undefeated Chargers. Jackson Dart era kicked off with a win over the undefeated Chargers, well, previously undefeated Chargers. He had that touchdown run, he had a touchdown pass. Just for him, it totally sucks that not like that. Giants fans were like, oh man, we're going to see him and Neighbors all year, and then Neighbors has that ACL tear. And it really just, I imagine, put like just kind of the wind out of the sails. Even with the excitement of Jackson Dart, like it's got to take the wind out of their sails of, man, our best offensive weapon is now not going to be here for the last 13 games of the year. Jackson Dart's going to have to do it without him. And it just stinks that you can't see these two young guys start to create a chemistry, a repertoire. Like, all right, I know what I'm doing here. They learn together. You see the growth, so it's going to have to wait a year. But at least for Giants fans, hey, Jackson Dart, for his first start against a pretty good Chargers defense, a pretty good Charger team, got the win off to Schneid. And Brian Dable's like, thank God. Moving on to our last kid table before we move on to the adult and the good stuff here. We got the Chicago Bears at 2-2 on a 2-game winning streak. Give credit where it's due. Start of the year, I was one of the biggest ones banging the drum. Man, Caleb Williams ain't it. The Bears, what are they doing? They got wrecked by the Lions in week 2, but credit to them. The 2 weeks after that, they've got 2 wins. A road win against the Raiders. Yeah, it's the Raiders, but hey, a road win for a young team, a new coach, young quarterback. Road wins are not easy to come by, so this Bears are starting to stack games together. 2-2, quarter of the way in. I'm sure they will take it. Obviously, they would want better, but compared to what they've had in the past, good steps forward the last few weeks for the Bears. And Roma Dunze coming on this year, kind of a disappointing rookie year. Roma Dunze is, again, one of those players that's showing this is why I was drafted where I was. Coming in at 21, we have the Dallas Cowboys, a 1-2-1. Yes, we got our first tie of the NFL season this past Sunday night when the Cowboys tied the Packers. Jones was happy for that, but man, I won't talk about Cowboys, but I hate ties in the NFL. I just really do. Yes, I know it's not a lot. It's a half win, but nobody wants to see a tie, especially with you sit there for the whole game, then you sit through overtime, and then that's it. That's how it ends. They got to figure out something like maybe go to college where they get it to 15 and just they have to go for it and just they got to do something. Ties aren't in it. But Cowboys, hey, without CeeDee Lamb, put up 40 on the Packer defense with Micah Parsons playing for them. Yeah, they would have liked to get a win, but hey, for the Cowboys, the offense in Dak is looking legit. Like aside from that Bear game, Dak is looking as good as he ever has. Pickens stepped up in place of CeeDee Lamb, a couple touchdown passes, over 130 receiving yards. And I mean, the Cowboys right there with the Eagles week 1. And then just right here, there where the Packers were a lot of people like, oh man, Super Bowl contender, tied them. Like they had a chance, they could have won that game. So Cowboys coming at 21, just their defense is so bad. So bad. Like Dallas is letting it. It's almost to the point where, like, if you do weekly daily fantasy, like a DraftKings or something, you look, all right, who's Dallas fan? Then you take some of their players. It's kind of to that point with them. Closing out, before we get into the teams, we have our New England Patriots coming in at number 20. New England is 2-2, and I thought about this today as a Bills fan. They play the Patriots, so I was thinking about the Patriots today. If New England doesn't cough the ball up 5 times, including like that one where Stevenson was like a half yard from a touchdown, they could very well be 3-1. And this Sunday night football game could be for first place. And that's just the NFL, right? Like a couple plays, and this ball game has a brand new meaning. I mean, if the Patriots win, it puts a brand new meaning on the rest of the season. But it's a big game. The Patriots are riding high. Jones, their return, and my goodness, he had a punt return touchdown. He had another one returned for 61 yards that easily could have been a touchdown if he didn't get tripped up by the punter. So Patriots special teams, Mike Vrabel has got the defense playing really well. So it's a big matchup for the Patriots Sunday night in Buffalo for them to kind of show, hey, we're young, but we're here, we're arriving. And as a Bills fan, I'm not sold that it's going to be an easy win or a win. I see a pretty clear path that the Patriots can take to pull out the win in Buffalo. But they're coming off a couple straight wins, and they're sitting at 2-2 with a chance to get over 500 and get within a game of the Bills in the division. So big game coming up. Drake May, Mike Vrabel, they're going to have them ready to go Sunday night. We're getting into our top 20 now. We got the Minnesota Vikings at 2-2 at 19. They stayed across the pond. They played the Steelers last week in Dublin, Ireland. They lost to the Steelers. This week they're staying there to play the Browns. But it's which version of the Vikings are they going to get? Like Wentz and the offense kind of looked lost this past week. The week before, not so much. They put the beat down on the Bengals. And then Aaron Rodgers this week carved them apart. So really, just like we talked earlier about the roller coaster teams, well, the Vikings right now, like which version are we getting? It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde here. Are we getting the good one or the bad one? And Carson Wentz has all the weapons in the world, so there's no excuses for him. Addison's back, Thielen's there, obviously Jefferson, TJ, their tight end. So like all the weapons are there. And they're playing the Browns this week, and Dylan Gabriel making his first start. They really need to get a win here to get to 3-2, keep things rolling the right way. The Commanders also 2-2 at number 18 in our power rankings. They're finding life without Jaden Daniels to be a little bit difficult, right? It's, again, that roller coaster. Daniels was kind of like that, all right, I'm steady, I'm going to keep going. They're seeing why Marcus Mariota is a backup and has kind of bounced around a little bit. He can give you all you need one week, but the next week he can kind of give you a dud. But the Commanders, I think, even more so than Daniels being hurt, they're no longer a team that is flying under the radar. They made the NFC Championship game last year. teams had an offseason to look at Daniels and that defense and be like, all right, how can we attack both? And you give teams that. So it's now up to the Commanders. Where's my counterpunch? Right. Even before Daniels got hurt, it wasn't looking that great. Week 1 against the Giants, not that great. And then against the Packers, week 2, not that great. So it's life is different when you're the one being hunted like the Commanders are. There's no more sneaking by teams like, oh, we don't know this team. No, everyone in the NFL knows you. And the same thing's for the Falcons. A young team coming in at 17 are the Falcons 2-2. Again, we already talked about this a little bit earlier. They were shut out the week before to the Panthers 30-0. They're a young team. How do they rebound? Well, they rebounded in a big way. They got their win. Bijan Robinson was a good hits and London active in the passing game. So you love to see that rebound. That's all you can ask for. Like, you play sports long enough. I don't play, obviously. But if you watch, you've done them. Every team has that just dud of a game. Do you let it snowball? And they didn't. They could have easily been like, oh, man, the Panthers were 0-2. They just shut us out. We're not any good. The doubt creeps in, right? Like, here we go again, another 6-11 year. Nope, they rebounded. Credit to them. Credit to Penix. Credit to Raheem Morris. They're at 2-2, and with the Bucs loss, I mean, they're right there in that division. The NFC South, it always seems to be like that. So do a quick recap for you. Titans are coming in at 32, Bengals 31, Jets 30, Saints 29th. Then we had the Panthers at 28, Browns at 27, the Dolphins come in at 26, the Texans come in at 25, the Raiders 24, and the Giants 23. And closing out the kiddie table version of our power rankings, you had the Bears at 22, the Cowboys at 21, Patriots at 20, Vikings at 19, Commanders at 18, and then the Falcons at 17. Now, here we come to the adult table. Yes, you see, if you're watching along with us, yes, nice, pretty graphics, some information about what happened last week, what's going to happen this week. So coming in, the last one, barely making the adult table, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last week, they beat the Vikings 24-21 in Dublin, Ireland. This week, they got the bye week. They chose to take that coming off that trip to Dublin, so they don't play this week. They're atop the division, 3-1. Bengals falling fast. Ravens sitting at 1-3. Browns 1-3. I mean, if all those teams lose again, the Steelers even further ahead. And at least for last week again, Aaron Rodgers had that offense humming against the Vikings. So, I mean, I myself included, I wrote them off. Like, oh, man, Rodgers ain't going to be it. But, hey, they're 3-1. Yeah, they got lucky with the Patriots. But, hey, how many teams would take luck over what they ended up getting? So the Steelers are there, 3-1. Their defense is starting to seem like it's finding its groove, which at the beginning of the year, like, man, what can they do if their defense is playing like this? Aaron Rodgers has them going. DK Metcalf had that big touchdown reception this week where he just took to the house on drag. So the Steelers are there, and by the end of this week, they could be even further ahead in that division, which is kind of crazy. Coming at number 50, we have the Denver Broncos. They beat the Bengals 28-3. We talked about this. Just talked about the Steelers' defense. The Broncos' defense finally starting to shape into who everyone thought they would be. I mean, they're leading the league in sacks. That was expected, but what they allowed the Colts to do, but they did what they should. And props to them. Like last year when they played him, Higgins had a field day, especially going up against Riley Moss. So Higgins still had his moments, but Moss did a much better, and the defense as a whole did a much better job keeping that Bengal offense in check. But as it says there, like that win, as good as it was, like, does that say more about the Broncos? Does it say more about how bad Cincinnati is at this point? And as I think it usually is the case with these things, it's probably somewhere in the middle. They're not going to be holding teams to 3 points, but they can still get the pressure. They can still do things on defense. And again, just like the Steelers, with the Broncos are right there with the Chargers lost. They're right there behind them, but so are the Chiefs. So the Broncos come in at 15. 14, this might be a little controversial, but we got the Baltimore Ravens at number 14. They are 1-3, coming off a 17-point loss to the Chiefs. That probably wasn't even that close. But for them, my goodness, they are the walking wounded. Lamar Jackson didn't practice today with his hamstring, which, again, not the great, like quarterbacks practice. So not the best sign for him coming into Sunday. Roquan Smith got hurt. Marlon Humphrey got hurt. They already had the injuries to their defensive tackle, who got put on IR after the game. So the injuries are piling up for the Ravens. They host the Texans this week, 1-3. And is like the Ravens are a couple fumbles away from having this record completely flipped. But at the same time, you always, like Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. They're 1-3. And that Ravens defense has just been a sieve this year. Like, no matter who they're playing, aside from the Browns, like, they're able to rack up the yards. The Lions, the Bills, and this past week, the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, yes, they got Worthy back, but does Worthy make that big of a difference where they go from being an anemic offense to putting up 37 points? So the Texans, who have had their offensive struggles, if the Ravens are going to turn their defense around, even with the injuries, this is the week to do it. The Texans are not clicking at all on offense. So for the Ravens to start clicking, this is the week to do it. But like it says there, do they have the bodies? Time will tell. Coming in at number 13, we have the Arizona Cardinals, 2-2. They lost to the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football last week, 23-20. This week, they play the Titans. If there's ever a get right, if there's a remedy to get off of this two-game schneid they're on, it's right here. We already had talked about the Titans being the worst team in our power rankings, the worst team in the league. 2 shutouts already by the Titans offense, like not great. And they're hosting the Titans. So this should be a get-right game for the Cardinals. This needs to be a dominant game for them. There's no more, like they're too far into the Gannon regime to have moral victories at this point. We beat the Titans by 7. No. You are a superior team. They need to start showing that against these types of teams, especially at home. This needs to be a statement. Okay, we just dropped a few in a row, but hey, we just put the beat down on Cam Ward and the Titans. If they come out with a 3-point win, that's way better for the Titans than it is for the Cardinals, and a bigger sign of problems in the desert. That brings us to our next one. We got our top. We're into the top 12 now, and the Chiefs are where they were last year. Last week. They were 12th last week. They are 12th this week. They picked up their biggest win of the year by far. Their offense looked the best it has all year. They play the Jaguars on Monday Night Football this week. And this would be a good chance for them to be like the Jags are 3-1. As you see right above them on our graphic. A good chance to be like, hey, we are officially back. The reports of our demise are much exaggerated. And you kind of, for their sake, you hope they are. As a Bills fan, I hope they're not exaggerated. But for Chiefs fans, like, yeah, let's kind of hope that we don't have to deal with that. But Worthy made a couple big plays to get Rice in a few weeks. Team should have kicked it. I'm thinking Chiefs should have kicked it. Team should have kicked the Chiefs while they were down. Man, if the Giants just would have not allowed that Patrick Mahomes tackle fumble strip, who knows what happens. But I think the Chiefs are now going to start finding their stride and remind everybody why they've been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Why they've been to, I don't know how many straight NFC. They've been to this championship game every year under Mahomes, minimum. So they're going to remind people who they are. Coming at number 11, we got the Green Bay Packers, 2-1-1. Again, we talked about their tie earlier. Not a great tie at all for the Packers. In the past 2 weeks, man, they lost to the Browns and a tie to the Cowboys. For a team that we had at the top of the power rankings our first few weeks. Not a great look in Green Bay. Especially, like, I know the Cowboys' offense is pretty, but they didn't have CeeDee Lamb. And they allowed a 40-burger with Micah Parsons. It's not great. So that's why we kind of dropped them even outside of our top 10. That early season hype has been, it's hard. You can't ignore what you see on the field the last 2 weeks. Is not Super Bowl caliber. Lost to the Browns and then a tie to the Cowboys in the fashion they did. So the Packers, 2-1-1. They're back behind the Lions now, but they're right there. They just got to get that defense turned back around and win. We just talked about how the Cardinals need to make a statement. Well, the Packers can't be losing games like they did to the Browns. Can't be tying games like they did to the Cowboys here. Those are the games and teams they need to beat. Top 10, we made it. Jacksonville Jaguars 3-1. They beat the 49ers 26-21 in week 4. In week 5, they faced the Falcons, who come off their big win. They played the Chiefs. on Monday Night Football. So the Jaguars 3-1. We talked about the Chiefs making a statement. This is the Jaguars' chance to be like, we're not a joke. We're here. Because a lot of people, myself included, like, the Jaguars 3-1, they're not going to do anything. But beat the Chiefs in a prime time spot. Then people are going to start paying attention to you. Liam Cohen has resuscitated Travis Etienne's career. He kind of did that with Tampa, right? Like the running game, people came in there, Bucky Irving, Rashad White, coming in there and doing things. So the Jaguars, this is your chance. And my goodness, that defense, 13 turnovers forced so far this year when they had less than 10 all of last year. Probably a big reason why they're 3-1. Closing out this table, our adult table here, the number 9 Indianapolis Colts 3-1, coming off a loss to the Rams 27-20. They placed the Raiders this week. Probably another get-right game. But even this is one of those, it is a moral victory. Everyone was wondering about the Colts, like, they had that kind of fluky win against the Broncos where the Broncos got flagged for leverage and they were able to kick the field goal to win it. They beat the Dolphins week 1, and the Dolphins are one of the worst teams in the league. But this is the Rams. This is one of the best teams in the league on the road. And if Adonai Mitchell doesn't fumble the ball going in on an easy touch, well, not easy. The part where he fumbled was easy. He made all the hard stuff before happen, and then he fumbles going into the end zone. Who knows what happens? They could be sitting still at 4-0. But even with that loss, they showed with all the mistakes, they were right there with the Rams on the road. So that Colts showed that they are for real in a loss. Daniel Jones had a little bit of a fallback from grace, but again, the Rams defense can do that to people. So the Colts right there, number 9, well-deserved. And they're just a few plays away from being 4-0 and even higher up the rankings. Moving on to our top 8. Speaking of those Chargers, here they come at number 8. 3-1. They lost to the Giants 21-18. They had the Commanders coming up in week 5. It was a bad loss, and man, talk about even of more of a loss. Their offensive line. First, you had Rashawn Slater, now Joe Alt hurt. And I know, like anyone who's watched the Chargers, like, man, the Chargers are going to Charger. You didn't think it was going to happen with Harbaugh, and you didn't think it was going to happen to the Giants starting a rookie quarterback in his first career game. But don't probably get to say much anymore. The Chargers chargered. They found a way to lose a game to a team they probably shouldn't have even been anywhere near close to. Especially after they had such a great start to the year to beat every single one of their divisional opponents. But that's the NFL, right? And that's why we love watching it. We love talking about it. We love listening to it. You never know. You got to bring your game every week. So I think it's fair to question, did they peak already? Are they now going to be like one of those just mid teams that ever they let teams hang in it? I don't think so, but it's a fair question to ask after kind of just looking lethargic for a lot of that game. Our number 7 team in our NFL power rankings for week 5 that come on in sports, we call it our table for 32. We had the Seattle Seahawks 3-1 coming off their 23-20 win over the Cardinals. They faced the Buccaneers this week, a pretty good matchup between 3-1 teams. And you see the Buccaneers on our graphic above them. Seattle Darnold ends up showing like that week one was probably the fluke, right? Everyone was wondering, is Darnold going to be able to do what he did most of last year? And he has. The Seattle defense is playing like it should be. The young talent is. They're starting to get their running game going with Walker and K9 and Charbonnet. JSN is showing he is a number one receiver. In the Seahawks, that home field advantage is nothing to be sneezed at. Like, that is one of the best home field advantages. So if they can get a playoff game or two at home, watch out for what they can do. So they're heading in the right direction for sure. Coming in at number 6, we had the San Francisco 49ers 3-1. They lost to the Jaguars 26-21, and they faced the Rams tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. It was announced today Brock Purdy is not going to play. It says may not in the graphic, but after the graphic was made, it was announced he will not be playing. So here comes Mac Jones again, 2-0 in his time filling in for Purdy already this year. But a big, huge divisional matchup here. 2-3-1 teams. Who's going to pull it out and take control of the division? You kind of got to figure you give the little bit of the edge to the more healthy Rams. But the Niners have shown this year, hey, we have rebounded from these injuries. We've grinded our teeth through it. And their goal is going to try to make this a dirty game, like a grinded out game. And they've shown this year they can. Props to them. With all the injuries, they haven't let it derail them thus far. So the Niners come in at number 6, and the Buccaneers at number 5 with their first loss of the year. They've kind of been playing with fire all year with their last minute wins. But hey, like, they fell behind big. They were able to battle back, had a chance to do something at the end. But they're getting healthy now. They've got Godwin back, Worst coming back. Evans will eventually come back. And then all that on top of Ibuka emerging, their defense playing like it is. Yes, it was a loss, but nobody plays the Eagles better than the Bucs. So the Buccaneers are right there, 3-1, top 5 in the league. And just that's a team, like, when they finally get healthy, nobody's going to want to play them. The Eagles don't want to play them again. I guarantee that. So props to them for what they've done so far this year. And, like, again, with all the injuries this past week, they've been like, all right, it's just not our day. But no, that's not who Baker Mayfield is. And I think that team rallies behind that. So Buccaneers coming in right there. So we're closing out. We have our last table. We have our top 4 teams in the NFL. Without further ado, here they are. Coming in at number 4, we had the Los Angeles Rams 1. They beat the Colts 27-20. We just talked about that. They faced the 49ers on Thursday Night Football this week. We just talked about that. You can't talk about the Rams without talking, first of all, Puka Nacua. This is on a torrid pace through 4 games. He is on pace to just shatter the yardage and receptions record. And the thing is, like, with Devontae, like, who's going to stop it? Like, teams know they're going to throw it to Puka. James Patrick. Yeah, and James, the Eagles are number 1 in our rankings still. Like, a lot of people say they win ugly. Who cares? You're 100% right, James. They know how to win. And that's a thing that so many teams don't have. They find a way to lose. The Eagles don't care some of their players care. Obviously, like A.J. Brown, he would like to have some catches and wins. But for the franchise as a whole, I'm sure fans too, like, just win. And they find a way to win, like James says. But the Rams, again, they blew that lead to the Eagles a few weeks ago, where the Eagles kind of showed, like, hey, we can still pass. Again, they didn't complete a pass in the second half, but we'll get to that later. The Rams are right there. They gave the Eagles all they could handle. They had a tough game against the Colts, up and coming team. They beat them. But you look at these 3, like, everyone talked about the AFC being strong heading into the year. These top teams in the NFC, in the Bucs, there were 5. It's an NFC heavy rankings this year so far. The AFC, like, heavyweights are kind of faltering aside from Buffalo. Chiefs 2-2, Ravens 1-3. It's an NFC type year. Speaking of the Bills 3-0, I am a Bills fan. If you have not watched us at all, you see LaShawn McCoy in the background. Been to almost 200 games, but I am not one of those rose-colored, everything's great Bills fans. I'm a realistic Bills fan. This defense is not anywhere near Super Bowl caliber for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is. James Cook is. But that defense is not. When Spencer Rattler is running for first downs and he's licking his chops coming into the game, knowing, hey, I can run on this defense, that's not great. The Saints are winless, and the Bills had to fight tooth and nail to get another win, just like they did the week before against Miami. That one we could chalk up to, like I chalked up to division. All right, it's a divisional opponent. They know you better than anybody else. The Saints don't. And the Saints are a couple silly plays away from possibly stealing a win in Orchard Park. So the Bills, yes, it's in a weak part of their schedule. Maybe they're sleepwalking. They can't be doing that. If they want to get the number one seed, they got to start pounding teams. And they have a chance to do so Sunday night against the up-and-coming Patriots, who are going to be riding high off of their 40 points and big win over the Panthers. Big game in Orchard Park Sunday night football. This is a statement game. Our Bills can be like, yes, we're still in control. We do beat every team in our division. Or this is the Patriots' chance to be like, hey, NFL Nation, we are back. After a few years of mediocrity or less than that, we are back. I hope not. Coming in number 2, we had the Detroit Lions. We were very tempted to put them number 1 the way they played the last 3 weeks. But that would not do any justice to the Eagles, who we'll talk about here in a second. But after that week 1 loss to the Packers, the Lions have looked like the Lions we have expected and seen the last few years under Dan Campbell, even with the loss of their coordinators. Since week 2 on, nobody's looked as good as they have. Their defense, even when they allowed the 30 points to the Ravens, sacked Lamar Jackson 6-7 times. So that defense is rounding into shape. The offense is still the offense. Jared Goff is showing, hey, I can do this without Ben Johnson. I can do this. I can make this offense hum. I can make it work. The running game is getting back to what it used to be. Their offensive line is starting to click. So the Lions, maybe it's good for them to sneak up on like last year where they're number 1 seed and lost. But they're there at number 2. Very easily could be number 1. Any one of these 3 NFC teams could be, I think, anybody on any given Sunday. But nobody's beating the Eagles so far. And like James said, they know how to win. They find a way to win. 2 weeks ago, they had to pass the ball more than they have in a long time. And they did so and had to come back win against the Bucs. This week, not the Bucs, the Rams. This week was the Bucs, where they allowed the Buccaneers to have a comeback. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass in the second half, but they found a way to win. How many teams can say, yeah, we're not going to complete a pass in an entire half, but we're going to win? I don't think anybody with the right mind says that, but the Eagles found a way. Their defense makes the big plays when they have to. Saquon makes plays, and this week the Eagles were showing variations off the tush push. So now, like, teams, you just can't line up and be like, all right, they're running the tush push. They got to have something in the back of your mind. Okay, we saw that flip to Saquon. We saw the others, so they're putting wrinkles in. So they're doing, like James said, they're finding ways to win. They don't paint a picture. At the end of the year, when you look back and you see win, 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 it doesn't say, oh, they show this beauty, this beautiful paint job, or it's like, oh, looks like a stick figure. Nope, there's no picture. It says win or loss. So nobody should apologize for wins or how it looks. Every team in the league would take a win no matter how it looks. But the Eagles coming at number 1, they dethrone them. So to go back over our power rankings really quickly for anybody who just might be joining us. 32, we had the Titans. 31, the Bengals. 30, the New York Jets. 29, the New Orleans Saints. And you see these graphics. We call this our kiddie tables. We only do we call it table for 32. These are kind of like these kid tables you have at like family weddings and stuff. Like they're there, but they're off to the side. They're not. We're focused on the adults here. So that's kind of what we do here at our power rankings. We give them a little bit of information, but we saved the good stuff for the adult tables. Coming in at 28, we had the Panthers. 27, we had the Browns. The Dolphins coming in at 26 after the first win. Texans off their first win, 25. Raiders 1-3 on a 3-game losing streak. The Giants kick off the Jackson Dart era with a win, come in at 23 in our rankings. And I think that one was accidentally deleted, so let me pull that back up here quickly. Apologies. There it is. Coming in at 22, we had the Chicago Bears, 2-2 on a 2-game winning streak. The Cowboys on a tie streak. That's such a thing. Coming in at 21, the Patriots, 2-2 with a big showdown against the Bills on Sunday Night Football, coming at 20. The Vikings, 2-2 at 19. The Commanders are 2-2, and they're number 18 in our power rankings. And the Falcons close out the kiddie table section of this at 2-2. Then we get to the good stuff, the good teams. We see the good graphics if anybody's watching this instead of listening. The Steelers are 3-1, and they're number 16 in our power rankings. The Denver Broncos coming at number 15 at 2-2. The Ravens 1-3, injury riddled, but still hard to believe that they're going to stay down there, coming at number 14. The Cardinals coming at number 13 with what should be a fairly simple win against the Titans in week 5. The Chiefs stay strong at number 12. They were 12 last week, 12 this week at 2-2. The Packers 2-1 coming at number 11. They've fallen. They were the top spot the first 2 weeks in our rankings. They've fallen down hard the last 2 weeks. Well, it's easy to do when you lose to the Browns and tie the Cowboys. Jaguars start off our top 10. Jerry G, what's going on, my guy? Welcome in. Good to see you. Jaguars coming at number 10. Again, this is just a recap. We are wrapping up our show here. This is just a recap for our power rankings for week 5. Jaguars 3-1 coming at number 10. We face, and then the Colts coming in at 3-1 as well. They are number 9. The Raiders in week 5 for them. And then we're into our top 8. The Chargers at 3-1 coming in at number 8 off their loss to the Giants. It was a very good game on Sunday, Jerry, for you. I was not very happy with the Bills, but I called it. If you listen to our pregame show, I called it. It was going to be a late score to push it to double digits. And then if the Saints could run the ball, I called it. Hey, it was going to be a close game, and they did those things. Seattle coming in at number 7, 3-1, beat the Cardinals. Had the Bucs on hand, a big showdown there. 3-1 team squaring off. Niners tomorrow night, they play the Rams in a showdown there. They come off their first loss of the season. They're 3-1. Brock Purdy will not be starting for them tomorrow night. If you have not heard, it will be Mac Jones under center again on Thursday Night Football. Getting into our top 5, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in at number 5. 3-1. They lost to the Eagles 31-25. They play the Seahawks this week. Probably one of the, if not the best game of the week. And then we get into our top 4, who we just went over. The Rams at 3-1. They beat the Colts. Keeping It Real says the Rams win tomorrow. I think I would also be on that train, especially with Brock Purdy not playing. Short week. Generally, I'll go with a healthier team, especially, and then. But Mac Jones, hey, he won 2 games already this year. Maybe he can pull off a third. The Bills come in at number 3. They're undefeated, but I would take the Lions over them if they played right now. I would pick the Lions. Even as a Bills fan, the defense is just not up to snuff in Buffalo right now. The Lions, who the last 3 weeks I think have looked as dominant as anybody has in the NFL, they come in at number 2, and we close out our rankings with the Eagles back on top, 4-0. As James said, they find a way to win. They don't care how it looks. They don't care if you call it ugly. They do not care. So that closes out our power rankings, our table for 32, Week 5 NFL power rankings at Come On In Sports. As always, if you have any comments, drop them, guys. I love talking to you, even during the show. Like we'll throw your comments on the screen. We'll throw them on there. I'll read them. We'll talk about them live. So don't be hesitant to type in there. Let your opinion be known. Do you agree with the rankings? Do you not? That's a big point of list. Is it just the defense of the Bills No, the Bills have too much of lulls offensively. Like if anybody who watched the Saints game saw, like for a quarter they did nothing, and for every single game this year they have at least a quarter where it's like, what are they doing offensively? And we talked about that on Come On In on SNS Bills Talk with Come On In Sports last night. Absolutely, shout out to Dolph 100%. Dolph in the house. Dolph, what's going on? But remember also, these power rankings are not just me. I put the graphics together, but this is like Dolph and I have our power, and then I find the average of where we have them, and that's where we put the teams. So even though I'm the one on screen right now, it is Come On In Sports. And like a few weeks ago, we had 4 people submit their power rankings. So we take the averages of all those 4. So it's not just my power rankings. Like if there's a tie, then I'll try my best to keep it but I'll throw a little bit in there as well. How you doing, family? Dolph is happy to see everybody. We're happy to see everybody here. We got 41 people strong to close out our show this week. Every Wednesday, guys, we're going to be live. So if you like watching Power Rankings, if you like seeing how we do things here at Come On In Sports, every Wednesday night, come on in and hang out with us. And if you're in here, the show won't end. Like if you're keeping asking questions, you keep it lively, the show will go on. We will you don't have to call for an encore. We won't leave the stage. So if you're here, tell your friends, like they get a chance to have their voice and opinion heard. And we're getting hundreds of people watching on YouTube. So we're there. Be a part of it. You will and can be a part of it. We are a big fan interactive space here at Come On In Sports. That's literally why it's called Come On In. Can I recap the rankings? Yes, I can. Let's go from the top down one last time. We'll start with our kiddie table. Oops, we'll hide that. The Tennessee Titans. Oops, I should go back to which one looks better? Not that one. No, we don't want that. There we go. The Tennessee Titans come in at number 32. The Bengals come in at number 31. The Jets come in at 30. And the Saints come in at 29, almost making it off of that last kiddie table. And like I said on there, if they keep pounding that rock and they go right there, they're going to get a win eventually. They have been in 3 out of the 4 games with a legitimate chance to win them. So they have the Panthers coming in at 28. We have the Browns at 27. Dylan Gabriel era will start for the Browns this Sunday as they bench Joe Flacco. The Dolphins come in at 26, coming off their first win. The Texans come in at 25, coming off their first win. The Raiders, 1-3, have lost 3 straight, but Ashton Genty had his best game as a pro. Coincidence, he started doing his Michael Myers Halloween stance? No, I don't think so. Giants kick off the Jackson Dart era with a win over the previously undefeated Chargers. And getting to our last kiddie table, which is what we call the teams 17 through 32 in our power rankings. We had the Bears on a 2-game winning streak coming in at number 22. The Dallas Cowboys 1-2-1 at 21. The Patriots 2-2 with their big showdown against Buffalo on Sunday Night Football Cup upcoming. The Vikings are still overseas, hoping to get a win against the Browns in Week 5. They're 2-2 and number 19 in our rankings. The Commanders coming in at 2-2. They're number 18 in our power rankings. Dolph says the Saints are graduating from the kiddie table this week. Get off that last page. That should be the rallying cry for your Saints this week, Dolph. Let's get off the last kiddie table at Table for 32 would Come On In Sports. That should be their goal. They have it on their doors coming out. They slap it on the way out. That should be the rallying cry for the Saints this week. And closing out the kiddie section, we have the Atlanta Falcons set number 17 at 2-2. Then we get to the good stuff. Our top 16 teams who got the better graphics, the better information, they deserve it. They're at the adult table. The Pittsburgh Steelers barely make the cut, 3-1, coming off their win over the Vikings. They have a bye week in Week 5. They're number 16. The 15th team in our ranking, the Denver Broncos, beat the Bengals 28-3. Big showdown Chance for them to kind of show who they are against the Eagles in week 5. The Ravens coming in at number 14, lost to the Chiefs, plays the Texans this week. The Cardinals, number 13 in our rankings, lost to the Seahawks, play the Titans this week in week 5. Getting into numbers 9 through 12. At number 12, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. They were 12 last week. They're 12 this week. Get another win against the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. They'll be in the top 10. I pretty much guarantee you that. Packers fell out of the top 10. They were the number 1 team in our rankings the first 2 weeks, and then lost to the Browns, and then they tied to the Cowboys. Will drop you out of the top 10, and deservedly so. They come in at number 11. Coming in at number 12, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars face the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. They beat the 49ers this past week, 3-1. Good for Cohen, Lawrence, and company there in Jacksonville. Coming in at number 9, we had the Indianapolis Colts, 3-1. And then we get to our top 8. We have at number 8, the Los Angeles Chargers. Get this thing gone. There we go. They are 3-1 coming off that loss to the Giants. They've lost 2 offensive tackles. That's that's something to keep an eye on. Is that going to affect Herbert? Is it going to affect the running game? We will see moving forward. The Seattle Seahawks are 3-1 at number 7 in our weekly power rankings. Big showdown this week against the Bucs. 2 3-1 teams. Really going to be a fun game to watch. Number 6 is the San Francisco 49ers. Again, if you have not heard, if you're just kind of tuning in to see what's going on, Brock Purdy will not be starting tomorrow night. It will be Mac Jones starting for the Niners against the Rams on Thursday Night Football. And at number 5, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Valiant comeback against the Eagles. Fell a little bit short, but they've been playing with fire the first 2 weeks with close games. You play with fire. Eventually you get burnt. They got burnt, but still 3-1 sitting atop the NFC South, face the Seahawks this week. And then our top 4 teams. The Rams come in at number 4, 3-1. Again, they face the Niners tomorrow night. Big NFC West showdown. The Bills come in at number 3. Yes, they're undefeated, but the Lions, I think, are clearly better at this point. The Lions are at number 2. And then the world champion undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, as Jason said, just find a way to win. And you all are winners for coming here to Come On In Sports. We are winners to have, and thank you for stopping in with us. If you have not done so, wherever you are watching this, listening to it, please drop us a follow, drop us a like, subscribe to us across our channels. You saw Dolph at Keeping It Real with Who Dat Sports podcast. We have our weekly pregame show as the NFL turns at 11 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific every week. Make sure you do that. Follow that. Check us out there. It's the fastest growing pregame show on social media. Lots of fun, lots of laughs, lots of knowledge dropped. So hang out with us there. You have Dolph Saint shows throughout the week. At Real Fan Sports, they do our live streaming games, talking about what's going on. So lots going on there. Dolph asked, thoughts on the Cardinals losing running back Trey Benson? Not the best. I mean, James Conner, that was enough of a loss for them. Now to lose that as well. But the one thing you can say about, at least with running back, is it seems like you can find running backs. So at least if you're going to lose a couple players at a position, running back is one of the better ones to lose it at, because you have people on the street you can trade for. Probably you can find practice squad people. Like, I mean, as a Bills fan, if I'm the Cardinals, I took a strong look at Frank Gore Jr., who has had 2 strong preseasons. So at least for the Cardinals at running back, like I said, it's a little bit easier to find replacements and to find people to step in for them. But for the Come On In Sports Network, I am Lawrence Foster, thanking everyone for joining us for our weekly show. Please make sure you tune back in with us next week at Come On In Sports with our Table for 32 Power Rankings. We love it. If you didn't get a chance to, go to our YouTube, drop your comment there. We can talk about it next week. Any named running back on the street? I can't think of any off the top of my head, Dolph. I'd have to look that one up. Let me see what I can pull up here. Open another window. Free agent running backs. Let's see who is available. NFL free agents. There's spot rack. We don't want all positions. We want running back. That is not very good. That is not very good. Spot rack, you are not good. I don't like you. Best running back free agents. Okay. They're all signed. Zach Moss is out there. Gus Edwards, Jamal Williams, Dante Foreman, Patterson's out there. Israel Abanikanda. So not the best names, but like that's where I'm like, take a chance on a rook. Like go get Frank Gore Jr. Go get someone like that. But yes, thank you all for hanging out with us. I'm going to close this out tonight. As always, guys, thanks for stopping in. We love having you. And always come on in with Come On In Sports.
The Come On In Sports Network.